Good afternoon. Today is Sunday. I believe that makes it July the 22nd, 2018. My name is Tony. I go by Teachings on Instagram and Heal and Reveal on Facebook. I also am one of the hosts for the Oracle, a radio show on the Wake Up Radio that comes on every other Tuesday. This is new for me, so bear with me. I've done live readings before, but just basically on Facebook. Just trying something different here. Was just drawn to speak on the energetic outlook of the planet, excuse me, and I'm going to tie it into the chakras, but I'm actually using a Kemetic system for it. Kemetic, as in Egypt, for those of you who, not all up on these woke terms and stuff. So bear with me. The grid itself is just like my own natural design. I used a organite for the centerpiece, and it's actually an organite that I keep by my Oshun altar. So I'm pulling on a loving vibration from that, and then I just basically broke down the chakras from the Earth Star to the root, to the sacral, to the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and the crown. Of course, normally I would include, something like Soul Star and possibly the higher heart, but I'm just going to stick with what I got right here. So let's get into it. First of all, this is an intuitive pull. I'm only going to speak on what I feel and what the cards are saying to me. As with anything and everything, take it with a grain of salt. So the first chakra we're going to talk about is the Earth Star chakra, which is approximately like 18 inches or so below your feet. In my perspective, that is your dimensional ground to this third dimension that holds you into this reality here on planet Earth. So under the Kemetic system, that energy is assigned to the deity known as Geb. So that's your grounding center, and it has to deal with the process of Genesis in the sense of this is where you're born into this planet. This is your dimensional cord, so your Genesis, your beginning, is tied into here. The card I pulled for that is the Purification card in reverse, which is a 72 vibration. For you tarot readers who think of everything as a reverse being something in a reversal or negative mode, I'll probably lose you right here. Sometimes things in a reversal are gifts from above. It's what's being handed to you. So in this sense, this is purification is being given to us in the sense of a nine being the highest vibration, which goes into endings. We're given a chance to end a lot of things. If you do some research on the Earth Star, you'll see that not only does it tie you into this existence, it's also where a lot of your generational curses and ancestral DNA thinking, thought forms, all that stuff like that is tied into there. So it's saying here's a chance for things to get purified. Let go of these old systems that have drove us into basically the current state of decay that we all exist in. When you break down that nine, you're dealing with a seven, which is your self-awareness, and that two, which is basically a reflection, but it's also a reflection in the sense of input, output. What you're taking in is going to give you the opportunity to determine what you're putting out. If you're still taking in more of the same bullshit that we've been taking in from generation to generation, then we're going to keep getting the same output. But if you're looking at it from a purification standpoint, it's a time to start purging, and that's what we're going through currently right now. It's a purge. You have to get rid of everything that not only no longer serves, but just things that just really don't fit your character and your higher self anyway. Some things can still serve you, tied into an egoic level of existence, but should you be serving it is the question that you can deal with here. So again, with the Earth Star, this is just basically saying you're brought into this existence as a chance to get out of having to exist the same way. Purify yourself. Sit there and be aware of who you are and reflect on what you're doing, what your goals are, what your patterns are, behaviors, the whole nine, and get the hell out of them. There's your chance. From there, we go to the most common base chakra, what everybody would call the root. The root is assigned to Osiris or Allseer, whatever you want to call him. And Allseer is, the deity for renewal. So if you're born into here with a chance to start over, your first task should be renewal. And I apologize for the glare of light. Now, trying to show you the card. Rivalry, and it's a 57. 57 adds to a 12, which adds to a 3. Threes are communications. Breaking that back down backwards, that 12 means that you need to witness yourself. And that is where I buy into the rivalry. It's not a rivalry. You're not here to be opposed to yourself. You're here to be whole within yourself. So stop thinking that it's always going to be a finite thing of higher self versus lower self, or ego self versus ancient self, or whatever you want to call it. It's a time to get both of them bastards. I'll use that word. It'll be time for you get both of them on the same page and start making some gains within yourself. And unfortunately, we've been bought into a lot of ancient traps and programmings and all that stuff, so it ain't always that easy to get both sides of your mind in alignment. But it's possible, and you can do it. And I mean, and it shows right there in that 57. The 5 is movement, but it's also a sense of struggle. Struggle is emotion. And that 7, again, is self-awareness. So you will struggle to find yourself whole, but that is the only way you're going to find yourself whole, is by going within and ending the rivalry. Even myself, you'll see me over the past few weeks, I'll say, you know, call ego out, call ego a bitch, tell ego to fuck off, and all that good stuff. If that's what gets you in the game, go with it. But eventually you'll have to come to understand that ego got issues too. Ego is just like a scared little child that might respond better to some understanding than some aggression. That don't mean to fall into the fuckery that ego can throw you into, but it does mean to just slow yourself down and stop looking at everything from a sense of rivalry. And that's that card, rivalry. Just break out of the need of wanting to make everything a battle and start putting things together. Peace comes by pieces. If you keep thinking in the sense of rivalry, you'll stay in the sense of division. When you start thinking for long-term peace, then you can start putting the pieces back together. Going on to the 3rd chakra, which is the sacral. That's basically your emotional center, and in some cases, for probably a good 95% of us, I'm going to say that's the soul center for your sexuality. With the male having the prostate in the anal area, a lot of the male sexuality is tied into the root as well as the sacral. And with most females and people who go with the androgyny and all that stuff, their sacral is going to probably be their guide as far as their emotions and sexuality. The deity that rules there is Anubis. And with Anubis, you know, a lot of people like to look at him as a dark figure. I don't really buy into that, but he's a figure of transformation. So you have to deal with your creativity and basically transform yourself from being emotionally led into a state of leading your emotions. And the card we got for that is the Prodigy card, which is a 26. You think about the Prodigy. The Prodigy is somebody special. They you know, you got somebody who's going to get the job done. Your Prodigy is who you want to call on, because he's the golden child in some sense. So thinking of 26, it's an 8. 8 is abundance. There are an infinite and abundant amount of opportunities and assistances offered to us. But just like with your mental perception, just like you can perceive something to be good, a lot of times we will misconstrue it to be bad. And you will be right back in a sense of rivalry when you don't know how to look at things the right way. And looking at that 26, that 2 is, again, a mirror, the way you look at things, and the 6 is your foundation. So if you look at everything in a sense of it's here to fuck with me or it's here to mess me up, then that's pretty much the law of attraction foundation that you're going to establish. Everything is going to be a pig pen situation with you. You're going to walk around with that dark cloud attracting more dark clouds. But if you look at things in the sense of it's here to help me and it can probably put me in a better state of existence, then you are owning the fact that energy is only there to assist you to make the decision to become a better you. And you start acting like the Prodigy. I'm the shit. And it ain't got nothing to do with being vain, but it's, hey, I'm the Prodigy. Only I can complete my mission for myself. I can have 500 people try and talk me through anything I'm going through, but until I'm my own star, I'm screwed. And that goes for all of us. So, be your own Prodigy and be mindful of which way you're looking at abundance. because abundance can very easily become overwhelmed, and that's that 2 plus 6 equals 8. It's in the upright, so take it in abundance. The next center we go to after that is the solar plexus, which, you know, that's your sun, the seat of the soul by a lot of people. That's where your vitality and your willpower comes in. The deity that's assigned to that is Ra, and you know, with Ra you have again the sun. You have self-awareness, but not only just say self-awareness, it's self-sustainment, because you won't get far without a sun. And a sense of maturity comes with that, because you have to be responsible for all existence. In the sense of, if I know that everything around me is a part of me, then I have to be responsible to not only it, but myself. So that level of maturity that a lot of us just don't want to get to. The card I got for that, transmutation in reverse, which is a 21. Like I said, I mean, it's your vitality and your willpower. If you're going to learn how to take the things that are being constantly thrown at us, or, you know, tossed at us, or even tossed out of us as just too much, man, it's too much, man, it's too much turmoil, too much chaos, too much, you know, thinking in that term of negativity, then you won't be able to transmute things successfully. My personal perspective is the best way to monitor transmutation is to understand what keeps getting thrown up at you. So if you're in a personal situation and that same trigger keeps representing itself, then maybe you need to stop and examine why that triggers you, so that you can learn to transmute that energy. And eventually, even if it's you know, a persistent thing that you keep getting subjected to, if you learn to properly transmute it by stopping and looking at yourself and seeing where you are in that situation, and not only where you, in the sense of the one, are in the situation, but where the potential to move you at, where that energy has a potential to drive you off base. And again, that 2 plus 1 equals a 3, and that's your communication. So if you ain't fully aware, if you're not seeing that 2, where you lie in that situation, and where the potential to drive you up or down is in that situation, you will not successfully transmute it. And you will always be, you know, kind of like in a state of division. And instead of holding life in your hand, you'll be holding on for dear life, because you will always be pushed and pulled and not really honoring your own energy, because everybody else will be able to work it. And I hope that makes sense to people. Again, I apologize. If you've been following me for a while, you know sometimes I speak in riddles or I just get jumbled in thought, but for the most part, you can pick it apart, even if you have to, you know, hit me up in my DM or Messenger or in the comments. I'll try and keep my eye on that. The next center is the heart center, which is symbolic to Hathor, a mother goddess. And it's also like your emotional balance center. And it's also where you find forgiveness. If you know anything about me, I don't believe love comes from the heart. I think love comes from the higher heart, which is not listed here. It would actually be in between your heart and your throat, your thymus gland. I think we are here to master our hearts. Our hearts have carried all of our attachments from all our experiences, from all our lives, and we're here to reconcile a lot of them, which gets right back into this sense of purification. And, you know, yin and yang, as above, so below, however you want to call it. So I'm thinking that, you know, if you can deal with your heart, if you can start picking apart the things that you have corded yourself into, and I mean energetically cording, when we're hurt, we reach out. And 9 times out of 10, we reach out for validation. That's a cord in itself. You're trying to attach to a specific energy, or in some cases, you're trying to find a replacement energy to take you out of having to deal with what was already going on within you. That's not to say that everything that happens to you is your fault, but if it happened to you, you can't take it back. Only thing you can do is adjust. You're going to have to either transmute it, or you're going to stay embattled by it. And looking at this is the Argonaut card. If you think about, say, Jason and the Argonaut, they had to go on all these expeditions and stuff to try and get the golden fleece. That's an embattled energy. And looking at the numbers, 2 plus 5 equals 7. 7 leads you to self-awareness, but it's only through self-reflection and struggle that you're going to get there. You will have to struggle with yourself. You can't just say, ta-da, I'm woke, and shit stop happening. It's kind of like the more woke you are, and I hate that word too, but I'm going to use it. The more woke you are, the more turmoil you may find yourself